Hi, Minesh Baxi here, and I'm the host of the Positive Parenting Podcast. I've been a homeschooling dad for 20 plus years. My daughter is 22 now. My son is just turned 18 less than a month ago. And it's a great life that we've been able to lead. And I love being a parent. And I know there are other people who love being parent who want to share their challenges, their lessons, and one of those is Tom Lyman, a Christian man, somebody who has given his life to helping other men, other people, and I really respect that tremendously. So, Tom, welcome.
Thank you so much. Look forward to talking today and pray that it encourages and inspires other parents
Well,
and families.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. Now, you had an interesting story. In fact, let's just start with what just happened. If you're open to sharing that, is like we were just talking and you said, "Oh, Vinesh, this is what happened with my son." And we all have challenges as parents. We have to take care of them. And obviously, they are in our stewardship, so to speak, and we are responsible for them. But do you mind sharing what just happened? Because I think people need to not just be reminded we are all human beings facing challenges.
Absolutely. And probably the part I want to share the most is that throughout the process, my wife and I both had peace. So my 11-year-old got hit by a car 2 weeks ago, and the neighbor friend of his came to our house, knocked on the door, and said to my wife, Clark just got hit by a car. And I'm at work. My wife's home. She works from home doing what she does and everything. And anyhow, she said she just felt peace, and she walked 2 blocks down the street to see our son laying on the ground with neighbors. And of course, the car was still there and everything. And I was actually working at the church that day, driving the skid steer to clear off all the snow and ice because we did get a lot of ice here in Dallas. And my daughter called and said, Clark got hit by a car and we don't know where he is. Well, that kind of comment really caught me off guard. What do you mean you don't know where he is? But she sounded calm and peaceful. And so I did have peace, but I drove kind of fast to get home. But I got there, and long story short, he did break his leg, the tibia, the spiral fracture, crack all the way down. He'll be laid up for a while, but I thank God for the situation. We were able to have peace. The driver of the car was very shook up, and we were able to speak into their lives to be calm and thank God for the situation not being worse. And with that, that's come from years of trust in God that those type of things are going to happen. The longer we live, we will have more and more surprises. Part of the surprise is going to be the bills that come in the mail. I'm not real ready for those. Um, for whatever reason, it's apparently on us because my son did step into the road and said he didn't look both ways. And so that's kind of how the officer said it. And I said, okay. And so it's interesting how years ago I probably would have reacted a lot different, but I do trust God. I do know that it's okay. But all parents go through different times of trials. I have so many stories of people I know that have stories much, much more challenging. And so each day I thank God, but we learn from it. And now my 11-year-old knows personally, don't play in the street.
Yeah,
So,
I know it's pretty hard, and I pray he recovers very quickly and his leg is fit to run soon in the near future. And 11-year-old, it's a tough lesson to learn, but I had a tough time with my son when he was quite young. He would not pay attention and just not be
mhm,
aware that he's in a parking lot with cars, as an example. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh God,
yeah,
he
yeah.
doesn't have that clarity that he has to survive because I think he doesn't even understand that hit by a car is not a
hmm
good thing. So Tom, let us talk a little bit about you. You had a lot of success and then things didn't go the way they wanted and you surrendered to God. So give me a little bit brief because I think people need to hear that testimony.
Well, thank you. And I will go as brief as I can, but hit the highlights. Right now, I'm 48 years old. Been married 23 years to a wonderful wife. I have 3 children, 11, 15, and almost 18. I've been a contractor all my life. Since I was old enough to walk, I was on a job site with my dad doing a lot of wood framing. And that's what I jumped into really intensely in my teen years. I went to a small school, so I didn't have really sports or anything else. So I just worked weekends and worked summers. And Started full time in 1995. At that time, we had 100 employees and we did a lot of large projects very, very fast and efficiently. And it gave me a sense of success, both financially and man, we're just putting up houses, putting up buildings really fast. And so Tom Lyman, the builder, and it was good, but also a little too much on that side of what I focused on and less on my spiritual man. And so I fell away from a walk with my creator a few times in life. But I came back to walk with God when I was 22 years old. And it was a beautiful couple of years there. That's also when I met my wife. I then got married, and she's been the music director for 20 plus years, homeschool teacher. My wife's phenomenal. I was youth pastor for 5 years, and so I was doing construction and working with youth the first 5 years of our marriage. So that was awesome. At 30 years old, I stopped being the youth minister and started really getting more into construction and making better money. But I became very empty. I wasn't serving others anymore. I was really serving myself. And I acquired restaurants and I acquired apartment buildings and I acquired a lot of cars and a lot of boats and da 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 for years. But every year it kept getting worse. And so, probably in my mid 30s, I started drinking. And then it led into other poor choices of being unfaithful to my wife and steroids and cocaine. And I lived a very double life. Most people didn't know. I was able to act somewhat normal around people, but then evenings and weekends, and a lot of times I would isolate and it would get more. And finally, of course, my wife found out. And so I thought everything was over a few different times there. My wife's never got into any of that stuff. And she's like, I did not agree to marrying this type of person. And who are you? So, December 12th, 2021, I went to treatment, outpatient this time. I'd already done inpatient rehab, but I went to outpatient and I started really diving in and doing it this time a little bit out of fear that she was going to leave me because she was very, very close, but also out of fear of relapsing because I knew that I probably wouldn't be so lucky to survive. I was losing some friends to overdose, to drunk driving, to different situations. And I knew like at some point, this lifestyle is going to kill me. And so this time I just started diving deep and I started looking into like why what's the reason why I'm drugging and drinking and running and numbing and the money never satisfied, but I kept wanting more of it. And so yes, I celebrate today 50 months 100% clean and sober, not one drop, not one smoke, not one junk of anything going into this body, and I praise God for that. I talk about it a lot. I do a podcast. I speak, and I'm working on a book. But I try to do my best to share enough so that somebody would feel safe to start sharing at least a little bit. I've learned in life that a lot of times we're only, as sick as our secrets. We can't heal what we hide. And so I try to do this to normalize conversations with people and say, hey, you're a dad, you're a husband, you're a man, and you've got so much potential. But it seems from what you've shared with me, sir, that you're surviving. You're not thriving, you're surviving. And therefore, because you're just surviving, you're probably, medicating with something. Sometimes it's food, sometimes it's sugar, sometimes it's entertainment and binge watching and just wasting the thing that's the most precious, which is time. And I heard a statistic the other day really broke my heart. I don't know how exactly accurate it is, but it says by the time your child is 18, this is for most people, not everyone, but by the time your child is 18, you will have spent 90% of the time you will spend with them the rest of their entire life. And yet, during those years that we're raising our children, it's so easy to, hey, let's play a game later. Hey, we'll do something this weekend. Hey, dad's busy. I got to work more. And so I'm chasing this what, and I'm losing the most important thing, which is time with my kids, time with my wife, time with myself to, grab and journal and read. And so at this phase of my life, and a lot of the men I work with, That's really what it's about is start calling it like it is and reassess. What are you chasing and why? And I'll tell you, I'm making a lot less income right now than I've ever made in the last 15 years. But I have peace and joy like I haven't had my entire life. So it's worth it. My kids know my story, my wife, everybody, they all agree. We keep sharing it, but it's to point people to the one that can help fix, and that's God.
I totally agree with you 100%. I was born in a Hindu family, for those who have watched me before, and I turned into accepting Jesus as my savior about 7.5 years ago when my father passed away. One of the things which happened, luckily for me, I heard a song which I think I mentioned to you before called Cats in the Cradle and the Silver Spoon, about a son and a father. They don't spend much time together. The father is, like you said, too busy running around, catching
Hmm.
planes, paying bills, and everything else, and doesn't have the time. We'll play catch ball later or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I heard that before I had children. I'm very
Hmm.
blessed. And
Yep.
that really changed the way I looked at my life and what I wanted in my life. And that's what I want
Hmm.
parents who are listening, just like what you said. Let's make sure that the 90% of time that is being spent before they're 18 is spent by us pouring into them in a way that their life is. And
Hmm.
like I was talking to a father recently, and I was mentioning something to him about suggesting positive things to their children. And he said, Minesh, my children will not eat ice cream if I told them to eat ice cream. What he's trying to say is that the children don't listen to him. They'll do kind of opposite when every kid wants an ice cream, right? So parents who are watching, listening, like Tom is saying, it's never too late to start paying attention to the people you care about, people who love you, and put them on a higher priority in terms of time, in terms of attention, affection than anybody else, because God gave us those as stewardship to be taken care of. So,
Hmm.
Tom, every time I talk to you, I'm inspired because you're willing to share your vulnerability, your challenges, because the reality is we all have those, we all have
Hmm.
those. And it's not a question of whether we have them, it's a question of are we willing to learn, find a community to support us, and you have done that. So I commend you
Hmm.
tremendously, like the leader you are always, you've always been a good leader, but now you are being a leader to lead people to Jesus. So thank you so much for doing that.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time, Jesus is now my only source. Like, I mean, yes, I need air. Yes, I need water and food and shelter. But truly, when I'm struggling with fear or anxiety, boom, I grab the Bible, I hold it, and I cry. And you know what? I read it, and maybe I cry again or I journal. But this here has been literally, I mean, so much more than those things that used to bring temporary comfort. And that's the struggle is that, in a way, alcohol kind of works and drugs kind of work for the night, for the weekend, but they never made me a better man. And they tried to ruin my family, my life. So yeah, it's been amazing. I've known of God my whole life. I was raised in the church, a church school. I lived on the church property, but I never really made it personal. Here's another cute one I carry around. It's like a $2 Bible, but this is my fix. This is my coping tool. And so, if I had to say one thing, it's put a lot more time into journaling and reading the Bible and good books, and a lot less time into the phones. That for me has been a game changer. Um, but yeah, I don't take for granted every day with my children. Not saying I've got it all perfect and nailed exactly, but I think this is when my kids at first wouldn't listen to me. A lot of it was because my words were not what was supposed to lead them. What's supposed to lead them is my actions. See, my kids used to ask, Dad, are you going to church on Sunday? Guess what? My kids don't ever ask that anymore. If it's Sunday, they know where their dad is. And if they're sick or their mom's sick, or I mean, no matter, this is what Tom does. And so when we start leading with our action, the same thing as playing, throwing a ball around. I could go up to my kid and say, Hey, do you want to go play catch? But if they're on the iPad, they might say no. But guess what? If I'm outside shooting hoops and they hear that ball bounce, they're going to come outside with dad. So actions more than words is what really everyone's looking for. Words are cheap. But when you want to see what's going on with a person, just follow them as far as where they are each day and what they do on their weekends and how they invest their time. I'm trying, and it's really working. It's really fun. I'm trying to really live as if this could be my last day.
I appreciate you thinking like that so you can make like impact on that very day. Do you know what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that's definitely the important part. So, Tom, while we are here, can you tell people how to get hold of you and what you can do to support them?
Oh, thank you. So again, contractor for 30 years. If you're in the Dallas, Texas area, I do construction, home remodels, tree services, land clearing, a lot of years, also some light TI, commercial work once in a while, um, apartment renovations. But yeah, on the area I'm most passionate about, it is coaching and working with men, partnering with them in their journey, and having in-person meetings, Zoom meetings, phone calls. We live in a world that's more connected than ever, but we're dealing with loneliness and isolation. And so I'm trying to be a spark that calls men out of their patterns and their ruts. And I do things like men's breakfast every week. I do a Celebrate Recovery 12-step program every week. And so I teach different classes. And again, I coach online and in person. Also have a small group of men that's growing rapidly. It's a group setting where men support each other along these same lines of being a better father, husband, leader, business owner. So you can find me online, tom-lyman.com. Email is very similar. It's tom@tom-lyman.com. Remember that dash in our life really matters. The tom@tom-lyman.com. And I do some things on social media. I do a podcast called the Joy Hour Podcast. You can learn more about my heart and passion there. It's getting other people's stories that are about things they've been through, some real talk about life. So I got a nickname, I guess, Tom the Joy Hour guy, because I stopped doing happy hour, but I still wanted to party. I still wanted to meet people. So God gave me this thought of you still can, and it's going to be way better. And it's called Joy Hour. So
Thank you for sharing that. For those who are watching, please take advantage of that. We'll definitely provide the link so that people can, and again, we'll promote it on LinkedIn and Facebook. So you have an opportunity to connect with Tom. So, Tom, thanks for taking the time today.
Minesh, thank you so much.